Okay, so we're getting ready for the test, and the first thing I started with was the difference between like 5p3 and 5c3, and what is the difference? One of them, the order matters. Which one does the order matter on? The p. All right. And if I had you do a problem with, for instance, burritos, where I said there was 5 choices of meat and you get to pick 2, and there's 7 choices of other things and you get to pick 3, what would you do in between these two? Times. You multiply your choices, and there's this many ways to do this and that many ways to do that, and you would multiply them and get a final answer. Next kind, I'm just going through all the kinds really quick. Next kind, the word Tommy. Would you agree that that's got a double letter in it? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters in it, but there's a double. Try to remember, I just taught you this yesterday. How many different ways can you organize it? It has a factorial in it, hint, hint. You also have to divide by something. I'm going to pause for a second while you give this one a try. So how many of you out there knew that there was 5 factorial on top? Raise your hand if you were doing it right. Cool. Hope found that on the calculator. But even if you didn't, you do the 2 factorial because there's something that repeated. There was 2 of them. By the way, there are words that have 3 letters in them. Like Mississippi. It's got a whole bunch of I's in it, for example. It's however many are repeating goes down there. So if there's like 3 I's or 4 I's, you'd put 3 factorial or 4 factorial. Okay, so, all right, so this final answer is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2, and I don't even really need to do times 1 because it doesn't do anything, over 2 times 1, which is really the same as that, so it's really just that, and I could do that in my head probably faster than the calculator. 20 times 3 is 60. Raise your hand if you had 60. Now, 60 is not a probability. 60 is how many different ways that you could rearrange the word Tommy. That's how many different respellings of it. Like Y-O-M-M-T is one of them. But there's a lot. There's 20 times 3 is 60 different ways. All right. Next kind, we're just doing like one of each. Next kind is, let's say that this is your batting average, 420. That is a ridiculously good batting average. If you were a baseball player, you'd love that. And then I'm going to say you have 8 times at bat this game. And there's no way you can expect to hit it a whole bunch of times. Even a really good baseball player only gets on like 40% of the time would be incredibly good. Okay, so I'm going to say that it's going to be less than 8 times you get a hit because 8 times would be ridiculous. Nobody goes 8 for 8. Well, it's possible, but it's really rare. So I'm going to go, let's say, 3. Now, that means I get a hit 3 times out of 8 when I average a 420. Who remembers the letters that are in front of that? Because it's a function on your calculator. You remember this? I'll start the first letter. B. Do you remember anymore? Binom. That stands for binomial. PDF. Very good. Everybody find that one. We are not going to give you that on the test. You have to know that's a binomial PDF. So wouldn't it be handy if right before the test you were to look at your notes that you're taking right now to remember what that word is? Because on the test, if you were like, I don't remember how to do this, you'll say, sorry, that's the point of the test. Do you know how to do it? All right, so binom PDF. All right, in case anybody's trying to follow this along at home, you'd have to use a TI-84, and we will provide that in class if you don't have one, or we'll let you use your iPad if I run out of calculators, and the iPad has an emulator. So you go under distr. In case you forgot, it's D-I-S-T-R. It stands for distributions. Anyway, so you have to hit the second key to get to that because it's above another key. Generally, it's on the right side of the calculator, right beneath the little arrow keys. All right, so once you're in distr, then you're choosing arrow down a whole bunch of times to get to binom PDF, and you always put in the biggest number first, then the batting average, or percentage probability they call it. This is called trials. If your calculator wants to know the trials, that's the bigger number. This is the probability. And this last number is called the X. It's how many you want them to hit. 3 out of 8. All right, Victoria, what did you get?
I got, well, like, jumping around or something.
Just give me like the first 4 decimal places.
0.2723.
All right, and if I had to ask you for that to be a percent, would you know what to do? Let's make it a whole percent. Yes, so what do you think? 27%. There is a 27% that this kid will get 3 hits. Do you get there's also a good chance they'll get 4 hits? There's also a good chance that they'll get 2 hits. I mean, we said 3, but that's just exactly 3 hits. It's not like at least 3 hits. It's 3 hits. Would you just go back and change that to be, let's see if he has a better or worse chance of getting exactly 2 hits. If you forgot where the comma is, it's right above the 7 key. Because these commas here, some of you don't have to put in commas. Some of you just have to answer how many trials, what's the probability, and what's X. All right, there's an 18.8, which I'm going to round to 19% chance. Do you guys get the same thing? Okay, now think about it. This was getting 3 out of 8. This is getting 2 out of 8. Do you get it's more likely that this person would get 3 out of 8 because it's closer to 40% average that they normally hit? This is actually worse than they normally hit. This is only 250, 25%. See, that's not real close to his average. That's why it makes more sense that he get 3 out of 8 hits. All right, that's enough of the binomial PDF kind. Then there's this expected value kind. Did you guys notice that over the last few days we had rain kind of on and off? It's rain, and it stopped raining, and then it rained again. Okay, so let's say that we kept track of the probability of rain and the amount of rain over the next 2 days. And let's say that we figure out that the probability of rain is like 20%, and the amount of rain that we're going to get, if we get rain, is 1 inch. Then on the next day, this was day 1, this is day 2. Let's say there's a 30% chance of rain, but if it does rain, we're going to get 2 inches. Do you know what to do to get the expected value? It has to do with these spots right here. Everybody go ahead and try to answer. What's the expected value for the amount of rain we're probably gonna get? Hint, probability times the amount. Probability times the amount. And at the end, you just add them all up. Rena, what'd you get? I know you got 0.2 for that one because it's just timesing by 1. What'd you get for the other one? 0.6. 0.6. And then you add them all up. What'd you get? 0.8. That's how much rain we should expect, is 0.8 of an inch. You see how this could actually be used in the real world? That's the expected value. Take the probability times the amount. Just put it here. Same thing over here. Just add them all up. All right. So I want to do, whoever phone is going off, just shut the volume off and then we're good. Okay, so now I'm going to do one more, and it's a works or breaks problem. Everybody write this out. Do you get that your phone that you have right now is either going to work or it's going to break for the next couple of years? Okay? There is some probability of that, And then there's an amount. If you buy the insurance, that's where the amount comes in. We're going to do the exact same thing as we just did a second ago, but this is a little harder because I'm just going to tell you a story. And you have to figure out what goes where. All right, it is, let's say that your phone is worth $300. Let's say that 10% of phones break. And let's say the insurance costs, thanks for telling me beforehand, you did, and I appreciate that. I'll take that back. As long as you signed out, you're good. Let's say that the insurance cost is $20. I want to know the expected value at the end. So, is there a probability that it'll work? Yup. You get that from the probability that it breaks, which I already told you. Then there's the amount you get if your phone works. Think about it. If your phone works, nobody gives you money. If your phone breaks and you had the insurance, they give you the money back. That's how in the real world, they actually just repair it. But in our problems, to keep it simpler, if your phone breaks, you can say, here's my broken phone, I want my money on the insurance policy. And they give you the money back. In the real world, it's more complicated, but then you should be able to figure out what the value of that was by doing the P times the A and adding them all up. This is, I believe, the hardest kind of question. I don't think it's that hard, but all right, first let's handle our percents. Karima, what's the probability that the thing breaks?
10%.
Yep. Then what's the probability it works?
90.
Yep. Now, what's the amount you get if your phone works? You walk up and you say, my phone works. And they're going to say, I'm not giving you anything. Your phone works. You're fine. How much do you get if it breaks? $300. Because they're giving him your dead phone and you get your money back because it broke. Is it free though? No. I have to factor in that cost of $20 somewhere, but that comes later. So now you do the P times the A, and the reason we do this with the 0 here is because look, P times A there is just 0. Yay, easy peasy. You might need your calculator for this part. Christian, did you already do it?
Yeah.
What'd you get? 30. And then you add these up, and 0 plus 30 makes 30. But do you sense something wrong with that 30? Yes?
You have to subtract 1.
You have to subtract the 20 that you paid for the insurance. Bottom line, this came out to $10. Was it smart in this case to buy the insurance? It was. And I know some of you are like, it's always bad to buy the insurance. The way they priced it was really cheap. See, the value is 30. After you take off the cost, you still have an expected value that's positive. You will, on average, make money on this deal because they priced the insurance a little too cheap. Okay. So, final answer, it came out positive, so you had a positive expected value. Therefore, it was a good idea to buy it. All right. Then, the last kind of question is a tree. I'm going to give this a 0.8, and you'll be able to figure out what the other one is. Let's say this is heads and this is tails, because that's a really simple thing that could happen. Then you could get a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6 on a die, right? And if there's really 6 things that could happen, they're each 1/6. But I'm going to round that for you. I'll be your calculator. You'll find it ends up being about 17% chance. My question is, can you figure out from what I just said the probability of getting a tails and then a 3? You should be able to follow that on the chart, figure out what the decimals are, multiply it all out, and get the probability of getting a tails and a 3. Pause for a second while you give that one a try. Okay, let's see how you did. First off, you had to like use logic to figure out this had to be 0.2 because these together have to add up to 100%. Then you had to know that if this is 17%, then all of those little branches are 0.17, 0.17, 0.17, 0.17, 0.17. And I'm aware if you actually add those all up, it's off a smidge from 1.0 because we're rounding. It's not really 17%, it's more like 16.5%-ish. And so I rounded to 17%, which makes it slightly off, but that's okay. Now this one must be 0.17 also, so I go 0.2 times 0.17 should have given you your final answer. Iris, what did you get? So 3.4%. Raise your hand if yours would have rounded to 3.4%. Okay, cool. If you didn't get how that just happened, it was 0.2 times the 0.17. All right. So that is it. Now we have a review for the test, which is basically a big worksheet, really important. And I also need to collect the 2 worksheets from the last 2 days. So I'm going to be collecting those from you. Just wait, not right this second. I'm going to actually ask each kid to come up and hand me your worksheets, and I'll look at them quick and give you some points. But your job then for the rest of this hour is to go find the Schoology folder for today, in which you will find the review worksheet. Everybody go and do that. And I'm going to try, I cannot promise, but I'm going to try to have a key for it posted later today. Okay? So work on that work on that review worksheet for the test. Test is tomorrow. And last thought, if you want extra help, because you're like a little lost, you want to practice, Friday, I am going to be here. I'm not normally. My days are normally Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but I'm going to be here tomorrow. So if you're missing an old test and you want to get caught up, tomorrow's a good day. I'll be here. All right, that's all I got for you for the review for the test tomorrow.